Hello and welcome to the Books You Can Sink Your Teeth Into podcast. I am your host, Granite A. Miller, and thank you for joining. It's great to have you here. So we are going to continue this week with our pre-Civil War discussion featuring the book Fields of Blood and by J. Freeman. And we're going to talk a little bit about what was happening, especially in Congress, before the Mexican-American War, and what was and the goings-on. So, this is a really good book to read. If you're history but Civil War buff, you definitely need to read this because this gives you just such insight leading up to why some of the southern states broke off when Abraham Lincoln was first elected, and so. But let's head back. Let's go back in time to 1830s, and Congress. This would be the 25th, 26th, 27th Congress, and at that time there was. So we need to paint the picture. Like, of course, it was nothing like things are today. States actually, things were much more state driven. States had their own currency. So if you were to travel from, example, New York to Virginia, you'd have to get Virginia money, or vice versa. And so each state printed their money. There really wasn't the Bank of America was still hotly debated. States didn't want to lose that control. And, there was really strong, this is my state, this is where I'm from, feelings of, strong state identification. And in fact, if you read a couple of the books by, and which we will cover, like General Robert E. Lee, he specifically states that it was he had to choose between loyalty to his state or loyalty to the United States government, and he ultimately chose his state because that was really where you identified where you were from. So, I'm from, this show's coming from South Carolina, and of course, there's a great deal of pride to be, someone in South Carolina. We've got great beaches, we've got this, that, and the other thing, just as someone from Pennsylvania has a great deal of pride for Pennsylvania. And that's modern day, right? And now if we take it up a couple rungs, then you can really feel this. Then you should really start to understand just how important, states were back in the 1830s, leading up to the Civil War. Now, having said that, congressmen coming from their states really did represent the people of that state. They felt really strong about it. There was also, it was a different time back then. There were duels, right? If you dishonored someone, you called them, are you calling me a liar, sir? I'm calling you a liar. You have dishonored me and all the constituents of my area, and I challenge you to a duel. And so I'm sorry, I'm laughing. It's not funny. But yeah, they would challenge each other to duels. And, when you look at the reality of the thing, it was very rare to go out there with swords or pistols. They actually tried to work it out so that, you just get to the field and then, okay, everybody's on there satisfied. We all showed up. Let's break it off. Or they would shoot in the air or something like, but sometimes they were real. And people would be stubborn. Like the best example is the one congressman's named Cilley, Cilley. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but he was from Massachusetts, from New England, and he had a duel with someone from Kentucky. His name was Congressman Graves, and the whole thing was ridiculous. I mean, what they were dueling for, right? What they were willing to put their lives on the line was absolutely ridiculous. It was nonsense. It was petty argument, and they should have just worked it out. But being stubborn, they wanted their honor satisfied, and they went out and they used rifles and took 3 times, but on the 3rd shot, they aimed, they fired, they missed the first time. Okay, you would think by then, okay, everybody's satisfied. Let's go home, right? Nobody got hurt. Let's get out of here. No, they had a 2nd round again, missed. Okay, at that point now, all right, let's just go. Nope, stubborn. 3rd round, and the senator from New England, the congressman from New England, silly. He was shot and killed. So, and the matter was it was an argument in Congress, and somebody said something, and the person didn't like what they said. It was, it was basically like, anyway, it was just compared to today and the things that are said today, was very, very light in comparison. But back then, I guess it was a bigger deal. And so there was a lot of fighting. Definitely a lot of fighting. When you're willing to go out in the field and shoot one another until one's dead, that's pretty serious stuff. And so this is back in the 1830s. Lots of fighting, and there was definitely a divide. Now, in the 1830s, 1833, I believe, was when Great Britain said no more slavery, and they stopped. A lot of other countries followed suit. So the abolition, right? They stopped. Now, in the United States, the North, of course, was known for the abolitionists. They were all over, of course, but they were very strong and heavily active in the North, and they would send, they would have campaigns and everything in the 1830s, 40s to abolish slavery, as they should, as it should be, as they were in the right, obviously. But back then, a lot of Northerners. So let's put this into context. There were 2 parties. Like today, the difference was that it was the Democratic Party, which kind of is like the Republican Party now, but back then, Democratic Party, and then the Whigs, WHIGS. So there's 2 parties. And so, like, within the Democratic Party, you had congressmen from the North, South, and the West. Same thing with the Whigs. And they were trying to keep the party together, right? And so, you never really wanted to have like the northern states with the abolitionists saying no more slavery, and then your same Democratic Party or Whig Party, southern states saying, well, yes to slavery, and then you were risking that your party would fracture, which is something that they did not want to have happen, right? They weren't even thinking about the country back then. They were just thinking about the party. And so there was a lot of give and take, back and forth. And, and like I said, not everyone in the North was supportive of the abolitionists. In fact, they were actually, the North were labeled as weak because they wouldn't take a stand, right? They didn't want to offend the Southern congressmen in the Southern states. They didn't want to offend the people up north who were abolitionists, right? So they kind of tried to stay in the middle, and then they were criticized as being sitting on both sides of the fence, or whatever that was. That statement is called. So, it was there was a lot of tension every single time. The Congress just would get overwhelmed with paperwork, petitions coming in from the abolitionists, and so the Southern congressmen, they weren't gonna change, and the North, the congressmen from the North, a lot of them were very weak. Now, some of them, of course, were strong, right? They were no, we gotta get rid of slavery. This needs to be ending, and it is kind of anyway, when you think about it, right? You have so-called Bible-believing Christians in the South who own slaves, and Bible-thumping, Bible-reading, Bible-believing, slave-owning Christians honestly how do you reconcile that? You got to do you got to jump through a lot of hoops and it's because the whole institution was horrific. I mean, absolutely horrific. And we can't even imagine. I mean, there's no way to even imagine how bad it was. And, husbands being separated from wives, being separated from children, being sold to others. I mean, it's absolutely mind-boggling how something like that, and then you call yourself, and you go to church on Sunday. Oh, God. Sorry. Anyway, and get back to the point. So the South needed to keep slaves. Now you would think, oh, well, why? The agriculture, cotton. Come on, it's like the industry was dying to begin with. Remember, the imports weren't that strong, and well, the reason they were needed was because there were technological advances in machinery that required more labor, and that's why the institution was able to continue was growing. Unfortunately. So what we have then in Congress is you have two parties, the Democrats, the Whigs. You have congressmen from both parties. You have a northern part, you have a southern, and you have a western. And they're all bickering and fighting and yelling at each other, trying to avoid confronting each other. And one of the most, I feel, one of the most tall tale or leading sign there was trouble brewing ahead were the gag orders that were put in place. Southern congressmen put in gag orders that said, no more talking about slavery. We're just not going to do it. We're gagging it. Right? No, we're not talking about it. And that it was just pushing the problem under the table, pushing it, sweeping it under the rug, and then just waiting for it to explode, which eventually did. That to me was one of the big signs that this is, because honestly, what they needed to do was do what they were getting paid for, which was get into the rooms and discuss, debate, and I mean, honestly, they weren't going to win, but then come with solutions, right? Then bring up art solutions to make the changes that were needed. But it was swept under the rug. Gag orders were in place. Southern congressmen didn't want to hear about it, and Northern congressmen, of course, didn't want to talk about it. So both sides are bad. Both sides are guilty. And that's anyway. This is part of this book, Field of Blood. It is excellently written. Well, so well written, enjoyable. You would think, oh, reading about Congress, go to sleep, right? No, this one keeps you on your toes. It basically, so there was a man named French. His last name was French, and he was one of the secretaries. And he kept all the minutes and everything through all those years. And he was very detailed, but so it's not real. This book's not really an autobiography of him, but it really leans heavy on his writings of what he recorded, and does a really great job of just bringing this to life and speaking about it in terms that somebody in this day and age can understand. So anyway, highly recommended. We are going to have, and so thank you all for listening to this book review on our pre-Civil War build-up. And we're going to maybe have one more episode of pre-Civil War build-up before we actually get into it. We'll be next time we're going to talk about the Panic of 1838. We'll talk about the Mexican-American War, which according to a lot of the generals, Lee, Grant, Sherman, they said that was the prelude to the American Civil War. That's what pushed us over the boundaries. And because when you think about it, when the Republican Party, which was just a small party back then, right? They just really were kind of just getting in, and they mustered enough votes for Lincoln to win. And then all of a sudden, all of the Southern States just said, that's it, we're out. Things were building up to that. So, and once you understand what was building up to it, then you understand why they did what they did. And so, okay. Next up, we have Count Vlad, who's been so eager. He's over here. He's like doing this to me, flashing the red light, telling me to get off because he wants some airtime. All right. Hope you all enjoyed this episode. We will see you again next week, God willing. Have a wonderful week. Thanks all. Bye. Hello, everyone. It is I, the Count Vlad, and I'm here from my training. Yes, and it's so good that you are here with me today, my friends. Yes, the Count Vlad, he got some criticism online. There's some trolls that are writing, saying that I need to comb my hair. But you know what, the Count Vlad likes his hair the way it is. You know that? And it is beautiful, and I am not going to cover it up and be ashamed of it. It is what it is, okay? So there you go. There you go. So, lots of news to tell you. First, I had a serious talk with the Lilith. Yes, the Lilith. You see, the Lilith was very angry at the Count, and I said, why are you so angry at the Count? I am cleaning your boots and your shoes and everything. And she said that I was trying to make her jealous with Lena. And so I said, well, the reason I did this was because the Aunt Batty, she was the one who told me, and that is a good advice to make your girlfriend jealous. So Lilith said that she wants to fly up to the pizza bag and talk to this Aunt Batty and to really kind of get to the point. Get to the point of it all, get it? So, the Count of Vlad has been working on his comedy routine. Yes, the Count wants to go to the nightclubs. And so I am going to run a couple of jokes by you, and we'll see if you like them or not. Okay, here we go. First joke. What happens when a vampire gets mad? His blood boils. Yes, that's a good one. That's a good one. How do the vampires flirt? Well, they bat their eyes. Yes. What is a vampire's favorite holiday? Of course, it is Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, get it? Why don't the vampires like the cows? Oh, because they don't like a steak. Oh, I could go on all day, So, I'm thinking of going to a stand-up. Lilith says she's encouraging me. She goes, you should go to the stand-up clubs. So I think I will. I think I will try it out and see if I can't get the people to laugh. Did you guys laugh at this? Leave a comment below, all 5 of you who watched the show. Unfortunately, I have to follow that lame Grantite Miller. He's so lame. And he's just like, oh, I got the COVID. I'm so sick. Or my leg hurts. Or my tooth hurts. Always complaining. Right? Instead of focusing on making his show better so that the Count doesn't always have to carry everything. Right? Because I'm the one carrying the show here. Everybody knows it. Yeah. So, what's this? Oh, I think I'm getting a phone call. Let's see who it is. Hello?
Good evening, Vlad. I'm in a good mood today. You know why? I just started a new gig. I'm doing comedy. Yes, I go out at night and I do all the nightclubs. I actually do all the clubs in the area of Transylvania. Yes, the heart of it, the real hula of places to be a vampire. Unlike you in South Carolina. Come on, the dry heat, the mosquitoes. You can't even go out at night and enjoy yourself. Oh, it's so great in the winter. I can't wait for the winter, yes. A couple months out of the year. Oh, guess what? It's snowing. Transylvania is the place. It's happening. Listen to me, man. Anyways, I started to do a comedy routine, believe it or not. I was inspired by looking at you. You make me want to laugh a lot. I don't know why. You're just a funny looking vampire, but it's not your fault, because you're a proctologist.
Okay, everybody. That was a pretty good phone call. Of course, Count Fangora always trying to copy the Count of Vlad. Anytime I have an idea, guess what? He's going to do it too. It's always like that. It's always been like thousands and thousands of years we've been around together and never changes, always the same. I don't even get surprised anymore. He's just going to do it. That's always. So I guess he and I are going to do a stand up together. So that should be a good. I hope it is. Okay. So this week I am going to say adieu to you all. I hope you have a wonderful week coming up. And until next time, I think I am just going to change into a bat and fly away. Adieu, everyone, and bat!